Summer 1944. German generals laugh as American tanks roll deep into France. They'll run out of gas soon, one says. Their war will stop at the next fuel station. But then, something incredible happens. A storm of trucks, thousands of them, begin racing day and night across Europe, carrying fuel, ammo, and hope. This is the story of the Red Ball Express, the convoy that proved the German generals very wrong.
It's the summer of 1944, right after the D-Day invasion. The Allies have finally broken through Nazi defenses in France. Tanks, trucks, and soldiers are racing east toward Germany. Everyone's excited. Victory finally feels close. But soon, a big problem rolls in. The farther the soldiers go, the longer it takes for supplies to reach them. The roads are broken, bridges are destroyed, and every tank burns fuel faster than it can be delivered. The front lines are now hundreds of miles away from the beaches where ships unload food, ammo, and gasoline. Patton's fast-moving army is running low on fuel, and without gas, even the strongest tank becomes useless. German generals laugh. They think the Americans will soon grind to a stop. But the U.S. Army isn't ready to quit. Somewhere in a tent, a group of officers and engineers begin sketching an idea, a plan to build a highway of trucks that never stops. And that's how the Red Ball Express is born, the wild, unstoppable solution to America's problem on wheels.
By August 1944, the Allied armies were finally breaking free from Normandy. Tanks and troops were racing across France, chasing the retreating Germans. But there was a big problem. They were running out of gas. The front lines were now hundreds of miles from the beaches where the supplies arrived. Every mile forward made it harder to get fuel, food, and ammo to the soldiers who needed the most. The situation was so bad that some tanks had to stop and wait for gasoline before they could keep fighting. That's when U.S. commanders came up with a bold idea, a high-speed supply highway that would never stop moving. They called it the Red Ball Express. Thousands of trucks, driven mostly by young soldiers, would run day and night carrying everything the Army needed to keep going. No other vehicles were allowed on their route. If a truck broke down, another took its place. The goal was simple: keep Patton's army moving, no matter what. The Red Ball Express turned chaos into order and turned America's supply problem into one of the greatest logistics operations in history.
Behind every tank that moved and every plane that flew, there was a driver. Most of these drivers were African-American soldiers, serving in segregated units. Many had never left the U.S. before, but here they were, on the battlefields of Europe, driving day and night through danger. They faced not only enemy fire, but also prejudice from their own army. Yet they pushed forward, mile after mile, carrying food, ammunition, and thousands of gallons of gasoline. Rain poured, engines overheated, and tires burst, but the convoys never stopped. Some drivers taped photos of their families on the dashboards for luck. Others sang songs to stay awake on endless night runs. By dawn, their trucks were covered in mud, but their spirits were unbroken. These men didn't fight with guns. They fought with grit, courage, and a steering wheel. The Red Ball Express wasn't just a supply line. It was a road built on bravery.
General George S. Patton was known for his speed. He wanted to chase the German army all the way back to their homeland, fast. But speed needs fuel, lots of it. His tanks, trucks, and jeeps drank thousands of gallons every day. Without fuel, Patton's army would stop dead on the road. That's when the Red Ball Express became his secret weapon. Thousands of trucks raced day and night to bring him everything he needed: gasoline, ammo, food, and spare parts. The drivers risked their lives to keep those supplies coming. Thanks to the Red Ball Express, Patton's army didn't just move, it blitzed through France. Town after town was freed from German control. The soldiers joked that Patton's tanks ran on black driver power, honoring the brave men behind the wheels. Even Patton himself admitted, "My men can fight without food, but not without fuel." The Red Ball Express turned Patton's dream of lightning-fast victory into reality and left German generals stunned at how unstoppable the U.S. Army had become.
The educational, dramatic, and inspiring Red Ball Express was a miracle on wheels, but it wasn't easy. Every day brought new problems. The roads in France were rough and torn apart by bombings. Rain turned them into rivers of mud, and trucks often got stuck halfway to the front. Some drivers had to sleep in their trucks for days, running on coffee and courage. Others drove through fog so thick they couldn't see the next truck ahead. And when the sun went down, the danger didn't stop. German planes hunted the convoys, dropping bombs and firing from above. Mechanics worked around the clock, fixing flat tires, broken engines, and bullet holes. If a bridge collapsed, engineers built a new one, sometimes in just a few hours. The drivers learned to be creative. If they ran out of fuel, they took it from wrecked vehicles. If a truck broke down, they moved the cargo to another one. Every problem had a solution, and quitting was never an option. Through rain, mud, danger, and exhaustion, the Red Ball Express kept rolling, proving that true courage isn't just found in battle, but also behind the wheel of a supply truck.
From August to November 1944, the Red Ball Express carried more than 400,000 tons of supplies, fuel, food, ammunition, and spare parts. Every day, thousands of trucks raced down narrow, dangerous roads to keep the front lines alive. Drivers slept in their trucks, fixed engines on the go, and sometimes faced enemy attacks, but they never stopped. Thanks to their work, General Patton's Third Army could move faster than anyone thought possible. Tanks didn't sit idle, planes stayed in the air, soldiers stayed fed and ready. The German generals who once laughed at America's weak logistics were now stunned. The U.S. Army wasn't just fighting, it was moving faster, stronger, and longer than any army in history. The Red Ball Express became a symbol of determination, teamwork, and speed. Without those brave truck drivers, the march to victory in Europe might have stopped in the mud. Instead, it rolled forward on wheels. The Red Ball Express didn't just deliver fuel and ammo, it delivered victory. When the war ended, many of its drivers returned home quietly, without medals or fame, but history would later call them the backbone of the Allied Army. Their courage proved that wars aren't only won by the soldiers at the front, but also by the ones behind the wheel, the ones who made sure every tank, plane, and gun had what it needed to fight. Today, historians and museums honor the Red Ball Express as a symbol of teamwork, determination, and equality. Those brave drivers showed the world that no matter your job, your race, or your rank, you can make a difference.
The German generals once laughed at U.S. logistics, but the Red Ball Express made them stop laughing and start retreating.
The Red Ball Express was more than a supply line. It was a lifeline. If you enjoyed this story of courage, innovation, and unsung heroes, like, comment, and subscribe for more World War II stories that history almost forgot. And remember, sometimes the heroes who change the war don't carry rifles, they carry fuel.